Hi, Sarah. My name is Michalina, and I run a YouTube channel, Your.Polish, where I teach you Polish and a little bit of Polish culture. And today we're going to talk with Sarah about her experience with moving into Poland, as well as living in Poland already for 3 years. So let's dive in. So, what scared you the most at the beginning when you moved in here? Was it the paperwork and this administration, or?
I think, to be honest, the visa thing is the thing that just really scared us the most because it's such a pain, to be honest. Like, we had to hire a lawyer. We originally hired a lawyer in Warsaw, got completely scammed with that lawyer. We paid a lot of money and they did absolutely nothing for us. So we hired a new lawyer here in Krakow. I'm not going to lie to you. It has been 3 years and we still don't have our visa because we are still waiting on the government.
I know, so I have from everyone.
Yeah.
I am I feel you. I am not at all surprised. Uh, not at all. So, for example, my paperwork at my uni, it was always also the same. A lot of papers, nobody ever knew anything. Every person would tell you a different thing, and you would be forever confused. Nothing would get done fast. Yeah, that's the general feeling, I think.
Which is so crazy to me because we live in 2021. It's a digital age. Why are we still using paperwork like it's 1985? You know, like, this is crazy to me.
I don't know. I don't, maybe it just buys them time, because because I was actually thinking about it when Poland has become a country where people actually wanted to move in. Because I think that previously in the 90s, for example, I don't think it was so popular to move to Poland even for work purposes. So I think it must have begun quite recently, let's say 10, 15 years as an example. So I think they're still trying to figure out the whole process but it takes them nonetheless quite a long time. But yeah, I think that they still have to work on some procedures to put in place so that the process is smoother. But don't be alarmed. I think this is how things work here, unfortunately.
That's kind of what we've heard too. So we're just along for the ride.
Would you say that Poland or America is a better place to have a family, to raise kids? Have you ever thought about
Poland,
it?
100%, absolutely. And the reason why, first of all, the healthcare system here is 10 times better than it is in America. I know many people who have had kids in America, and it's like $30,000-$40,000 to have a child in America simply because of the healthcare. You go in for a hospital stay, you get an epidural, you're there for 3-4 days, you have doctor's visits constantly, you're having to pay a copay for that each time. It's very, very expensive to have a kid in America. Flip side, I had a friend here who was here with Shell, with like the gas company, and she actually had her baby here in Poland. Holy cow, night and day difference. They were in and out of the hospital for less than $100. And she stayed for like 3 days. She had a private room. She had multiple visits every single week with the different doctors. Everything she told me was completely foreign to me coming from America, absolutely foreign. So not only is like the whole pregnancy process different, and especially here, doctors are very much like, don't walk, you should take time off work, stay at home, don't do anything. In America, you literally work up until the day you pop the baby out. So that's different. In America, you only get like 3 months maternity leave, and then you're expected to go back to work before actually having to take additional time off, which you only really get 2 weeks off per year in America, depending, like most often that's what you get. So that's including 6 days, sick days, anything like that. So anytime you take off of work, you only get 2 weeks. I know the school system in America is not that great. So I don't think that's good. I know the school system here in Poland is better. I don't know how much better, but I know for a fact it is better. So I do feel good about that. I feel that Poland has a lot more emphasis on like family values and on like a home work-life balance, because in America, like I said, you only get like 2 weeks of vacation per year. And, if both of your parents are working full time, that's really not that much time off. And, you're working very long hours to even afford to live in America, because America is very expensive and you don't get paid like your wages and your living expenses don't really match. And so like that's a whole different topic. Whereas here, you get 4, 5, 6 weeks of vacation. The parents don't work 55 hours a week. They only work 38 to 40. And so therefore you are home at night, you're home in the morning, you're able to take time off to go vacation with your kids or whatever. But in America, you just don't have that. And I think, in my personal opinion, for everything I've seen, absolutely, if I was to have a family, I would definitely do it here because it makes so much more sense to have a family here than it does in America.
So how can people afford to have children in America? Because they usually, at least this is my understanding, I've never been actually to America, so correct me if I'm wrong, that you usually have more than one kid.
Yes.
So how can you afford this?
Have you heard of credit cards? Like, I wish I was joking, but I'm not. Many people have credit cards, and a lot of them. I can say from experience, I will go to like Walmart or Costco or something, and there will be people paying for their food, and they will take out their wallet. They will have 7 or 8 different credit cards, and each one will get denied because it's maxed out. Absolutely. It happens all the time.
Yeah, but then a bank can actually deny granting you a credit card if they know that you're not ever going to be able to pay it off, because
No,
I don't think that they'll ever be.
No, they don't care. The credit card companies just do not care. So I remember being in college at 18 when I just graduated high school. I went to college, and I would remember walking around the college campuses, and there would be people just randomly handing out credit cards. Here you go. I'm with credit or like Capital One or a Visa or whatever. Here's a credit card. Here you go. And as an irresponsible college student, like it was never me, but I knew so many people who did this would just go out and just rack up credit cards. That's all they did, because you had to buy food, you had to pay rent, you had to do all of these other things, or even if you went shopping or whatever. I know people who graduated college with $50,000 in student loan debt and $25,000 of credit card debt. Absolutely. And then you start your job, and then you have to pay it all off. And because you get a job, let's say that pays 55,000 USD a year, which is like a pretty average wage, you still cannot afford to live very high. Insane the amount of money that you have to use in order to live anywhere decent. Of course, you can have it be cheaper, but it's just so expensive, and that's what people don't understand. That's just what's crazy. And I don't think people realize that, is that America is so expensive and the wages do not match what the living expenses actually are.
But I hear Poles talking about Poland in the same way. I'm not quite sure what's your experience, but in Poland, many people complain, or at least people around my age. So I think I count as a millennial, so perhaps that's that. And that wages also do not match the expenses, because the expenses are more like towards Western Europe, which we are not yet there. Okay, it's kind of a more complex issue.
Yeah.
But so from what you've said, I think we have it better here.
Absolutely. And I'm not saying that like the wage disparity doesn't exist, because absolutely it does. Like it all depends on where you live, how your lifestyle is, the type of money that you're making, how you choose to save, like all of that plays into the factors, right? But I would say in general, Poland's wages versus like what you can buy make more sense. So like you can go to the grocery store, and for an entire week for one person, you could spend 100 PLN, maybe 120, depending on what you're getting. And like, you're getting good stuff, you're getting high quality things, you're getting good fruits, good vegetables, you can get, like good stuff. Whereas in America, like for one person, you could never even go to the store and buy something for one person for a week for like $50 worth and have it be good stuff. Like you couldn't really buy fruits, you couldn't really buy vegetables. You would only be buying junk food with your like even like SNAP or WIC or like any kind of government assistance program, because everything else is too expensive. And it's like, I think that's the difference, is I feel like what you can get here for your dollar makes more sense than what you can get for your dollar in America. And I think it really stretches more. And I think it just goes to show like the quality of things are so different. And I know Poland's much smaller than America, which makes a big difference, right? America is like 360, is like millions and millions and millions of people, but Poland is not nearly as big. So I feel like that definitely makes a difference.
Yeah, that's true. But it's funny that you should say all those things about America because I think that in Poland there is still this American dream a little bit going on that when you go to America and you make it, you really someone, and that's the country that you actually want to be in and have to be if you want to succeed. That's interesting.
Yeah, I think that that is definitely a mentality that was true in like the 60s, like the 1960s. Absolutely, like golden age of America, 1950s, 1960s, incredible. Absolutely not that way right now. No, I mean, it's honestly insane to me to see all of these things. Like I remember, for example, I remember going into the doctor for just like a general woman's health checkup, and that was in October. Okay, and in America, if I would ever go in for a checkup, it would be a minimum 3 hours. It would be an hour and a half in the waiting room, waiting to see the doctor, about an hour in the actual exam room, waiting for the doctor to come see you, and then just like, can I listen to your heart, ask you a few questions, and then you're done. Here, obviously, you're in 5 minutes because it's very prompt, at least from my experience. And then they did like all of these different ultrasounds, for like a well woman checkup. Absolutely, that has never happened before, ever, anywhere in America. Like my sister-in-law does ultrasounds for her job, and so in America. And so I told her that, and she goes, "No, that's not at all standard procedure. Like that's something the doctor has to like order for you only if it's an emergency or there's like something really weird that we have to look at." My mom had never had any of this stuff done ever, and she's almost like 60. And I'm sitting here in Poland, like I got all of this because I paid for, socialized healthcare, and I got the most incredible care. And it took 15 minutes. It was really amazing. And so just coming from that, and it's like, why in the world we can't have that in America is beyond me. And because of that, it is just so clear that Europe is so much more advanced when it comes to that kind of stuff, because it was just shocking to see that. It was just like, this should just be basic, but
Right.
no, it's just not at all in America.
Hmm. Well, so I'm I'm glad that you actually then in Poland. And yes, for that, I have to say that whenever you have a medical problem or someone notices, a doctor notices something, and they really are going to refer you to further examination.
Yeah.
So that is indeed true. Such a great talk. Thank you very much.
It was awesome. Thank you again so much for reaching out. It was such a fun surprise having you show up in my DMs. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And I told my husband that I was doing this, and he goes, well, who is she? And I told him, and he goes, I see her posting all the time on like different things on Facebook. And so he was aware of you. And I think that's super cool. So it was great. We'll definitely have to like keep in touch, because I think this was great. Thank you so much, Michalina, for having me on your channel. It was so great to talk to you and just discuss more about America and Poland. If you guys are interested in our second half of our interview, you can actually find the link in the description box below to go to her video, so you can click on that and give her some love. Also, leave in the comments if you have any thoughts or suggestions on what we talked about today. We would love to hear that. Again, go subscribe to Michalina's channel. She's great. She's awesome. And I think you guys would really like her content. So again, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you next Wednesday.